What's really going on with you and Moneybag?
Moneybag crossed the line, it's forever, it's smoke for life. It did some foul stuff that you can't never come back from, so, it's smoke. It used to be Young Mom, and he did a song with dude to kill your mom, so, it's forever. This something ain't gonna never stop.
I ain't finna sit over here and play with no do all this extra. Man, you just know. I let you do this.
So it looks like Moneybagg Yo, the Memphis rapper known for turning street energy into chart-ready anthems, might have stepped on the wrong toes from his old circle, and now that heat from his past is spinning right back at him. People online are whispering that the fallout isn't just messy, it's dangerous.
What's really going on with you and Moneybag?
Moneybag crossed the line, it's forever, it's smoke for life. He just did some foul stuff that you can't never come back from, so, it's smoke. It used to be Young Mom, and he did a song with dude to kill your mom, so, it's forever.
Moneybagg built his whole lane on raw stories, sharp delivery, and a voice that made people believe every bar, turning him into one of the most recognized artists in the game today.
But he had tried to come my way 2-3 times. I ain't just bite. And then the third time, I feel like.
But even with all that success stacking up, fans are starting to worry that the pressure is getting real and maybe even putting him in harm's way. Word in the streets is that some old connections from Moneybag's past are not letting go, and they're saying he switched sides when fame hit. His former crew is calling him a sellout, claiming he left them behind once the industry money and shine came in, and they're not trying to hear any explanations from him at all. Moneybagg has tried to clear things up, saying people got the story twisted, but his old circle isn't buying any of it, and the talk is that they're out for serious payback. Folks close to the situation are saying the tension is ugly, with some even suggesting they want him completely out the way.
Shit, real.
So how did all this start? Let's break it down because the story gets wild fast. Moneybagg Yo first caught the eye of Yo Gotti, the big boss behind CMG, who tried to sign him not once, not twice, but 3 separate times. By the third approach, Moneybagg had already built major credibility in the streets, and the trust between them was finally solid enough for him to sign that deal. Yo Gotti handed him a $200,000 bag as part of the paperwork, and from that moment, Moneybagg's rise to stardom was locked in. But before all that shine, sleeping on cold floors and trying to pull himself out of survival mode the best way he could. When the breakthrough finally hit, everything changed overnight.
That tape, and I won't smoke. I ain't playing on my son.
With new money coming in and a whole new lifestyle unfolding, Moneybagg started enjoying success in a way nobody from his past had ever seen. Even going as far as buying a white tiger just to show he had officially stepped into a whole different level of the rap world. But even with the checks coming in heavy, the streets were still watching him close, and everybody knows the streets always come back to collect sooner or later. That's where the whole situation started sliding in the wrong direction fast. Moneybagg is a South Memphis native, while Yo Gotti reps North Memphis, and in that city, those two sides have history that runs deep.
With Moneybagg Yo, before the incident happened with him and I actually was happy as fuck to go to the club to see him. I wanted to talk to the man. I ain't got no beef with nobody on CMG, dog. I don't even really want to deal with it. That's what I was coming to do.
For years, the North and South have been clashing, and Memphis is stacked with different crews and gangs all mixed in, making every move feel like it comes with consequences. So when Moneybagg signed with Yo Gotti, someone stamped on the north side, it wasn't just a business decision, it was seen as breaking an unspoken street rule. Folks started looking at him sideways like he crossed a boundary he wasn't supposed to cross, even if he was just trying to elevate his life. Moneybagg took that risk because he was trying to get away from the street mess and level up, but backlash hit quicker than he expected. After joining CMG, he suddenly found himself in the middle of problems with people he'd never even spoken to before. Rappers and street dudes started coming for him strictly because of who he aligned with. One of the first big public clashes came with NBA YoungBoy.
What's really going on with you and Moneybagg?
Moneybag crossed the line, it's forever, it's smoke for life.
This was wild because Moneybagg had actually worked with him back in 2017. They dropped a joint mixtape called Fed Baby, and at first everything looked smooth. But out of nowhere, YoungBoy switched up and started firing shots online, barely promoting the project and throwing shade all over social media. He even said, "I ain't playing on my son," trying to make it sound serious, but Moneybagg stayed calm and didn't feed into it. They eventually settled things behind the scenes, but that was nowhere near the end of the drama. Not long after, another rapper named Rollo, who was signed to Gucci Mane's 1017, decided to send shots too. And he wasn't just aiming at Moneybagg, he came for Yo Gotti and Black Youngster as well, which made the whole situation even messier. During an interview on The Breakfast Club, Moneybagg explained what he thought the issue was, but Rollo claimed the whole thing got twisted. He said he wasn't trying to start trouble, he just wanted to link up and talk peace. But by then, the tension was already out in the open. Through all of this, Moneybagg tried to stay out the way and keep the focus on his music. With his fame skyrocketing and his shows bringing in around $200,000 a night, he was basically operating at A-list status. He kept his distance from Memphis and only went back when it involved family, hoping the distance would keep the problems away. But even with the success, the past wasn't finished with him. Not even close. The real problems kicked in when one of Moneybagg's old friends from the streets stepped forward and accused him of switching up and selling out, turning the situation from messy to personal. In 2020, everything flipped upside down when a leaked recording hit the internet of an inmate named Stupid Duke, someone who grew up with Moneybagg, straight up calling him a sellout. Duke wasn't holding anything back, and the tone made it clear he felt fully betrayed. According to Duke, once Moneybagg started catching fame and getting love from the world, he switched his whole circle up and left his original homies behind. Duke said that instead of staying loyal to the people who had his back since day one, Moneybagg started rolling with folks from the opposite side of the city, leaving everyone else stuck in the trenches with no support. That's why Duke made it very clear that Moneybagg is not welcome back in the city. And if he ever steps foot there again, it's on sight. The message wasn't subtle. It was personal and filled with years of frustration. Moneybagg, on the other hand, defended himself by saying his move to sign with CMG and leave Memphis wasn't about betraying anybody. He said the tension between North and South Memphis was mostly rivalry energy, not some deep hatred, and that nobody from CMG ever disrespected his old crew. In his mind, he wasn't switching sides or teaming up with people who hurt his people. He was grabbing an opportunity to get out the streets and create a real future. When he explained it like that, it sounded understandable, almost reasonable. But later, people realized that Moneybagg wasn't telling the whole story, and some details he left out shifted the whole situation. If we rewind back to 2010, there was a major incident involving CMG's boss, Yo Gotti. The story goes that Gotti and two other men had to turn themselves in after being connected to a shooting outside Level 2 nightclub during Thanksgiving weekend. The problem started when Yo Gotti and Memphis rapper OG Boo Dirty got into an argument, and it turned into chaos with 6 people getting shot. Here's where everything ties together.
Outside the area, police say a group of people near the valet got into an argument. At least one person fired some shots, maybe into the air. One woman, though, was injured. She was taken to the hospital, later sent home.
OG Boo Dirty is from South Memphis, the same side Moneybagg is from. And the two actually grew up together. To make the whole situation even messier, OG Boo Dirty is also the brother of Stupid Duke. So when Duke went off on Moneybagg in that recording, it wasn't just frustration about fame or feeling left behind, it was deeply personal. It came from family ties, neighborhood loyalty, and street history that never fully healed. There was real bloodshed tied to this situation, and everyone knew Young Mob didn't rock with CMG in any way. Back in 2013, OG Boo Dirty even dropped a diss track aimed straight at Yo Gotti called Get MG. And if you watch the video, you can clearly spot Moneybagg in the background. So he knew exactly what kind of tension existed between his side and theirs, and it wasn't light at all. This wasn't just a simple North versus South rivalry. There were layers to the conflict, and Moneybagg wasn't completely clean in how things played out. Once these old clips and details resurfaced, more people from Moneybagg's neighborhood started speaking out, calling him a sellout for leaving behind the crew he used to run with. Moneybagg wasn't about to sit silent, though. In 2020, he dropped a track called Thinking Out Loud, where he laid everything out on the table. He said he never had bad intentions, never tried to betray anybody, and he only made moves he felt would pull him out the streets for good. But he also made it clear that if anyone felt a way about his success, then that's just how it's gonna be. He even hinted that he had looked out for Stupid Duke in the past, sending him money before Duke started talking to the media, suggesting Duke might have been calling him out for attention. That added a whole new twist to the story. Then things took an even wilder turn when a man named H.D. White, who claims he is Moneybagg Yo's father, jumped into the situation and accused Moneybagg of selling out too. He posted an old picture of himself with Moneybagg back when they were still hanging around the old crew, and the caption said everything. Before the money, when everything was cool, now he don't know us no more. HD didn't stop there either. He threw more shade in another post saying, "Your people will watch you struggle. Go help somebody who would never help them if the shoe was on the other foot. Then they say you did. Wish me happy birthday? Forget your birthday?" This was clearly a response to a line in one of Moneybagg's songs where he rapped, "My daddy called me on my birthday. Didn't even tell me. He just asked me for some cake." The whole situation turned into a mess of family drama, street loyalty, and old wounds reopening all at once.
We had this picnic. We usually have it every year, August 8th. And I got shot at, and that was the worst thing she probably could have been through.
It's also worth mentioning that HD White is a rapper himself, but Moneybagg has never featured him on a track, and HD has never put Moneybagg on one either. From the outside looking in, it definitely seems messy that Moneybagg made it big and didn't keep his day ones close, especially his own pops. But we don't really know the whole story behind that fallout, and there could have been tension long before the fame ever showed up. Maybe their relationship had cracks years earlier, or maybe his old crew, and even his own father, weren't really supportive of his grind. It's possible they held him back, and cutting ties was the only way he could break through and become who he is today. Then once he blew up, they tried to circle back for a piece of the success, and Moneybagg wasn't trying to entertain any of that. For now, all the drama between Moneybagg and his past has mostly stayed online, without things turning into anything too serious. But back in September 2020, it looked like the situation might have taken a dangerous turn. While standing outside the Aria Resort and Casino in Las Vegas, shots were fired near the area, sparking rumors that Moneybagg was the target. Moneybagg denied being involved, saying it had nothing to do with him.
The Maserati Club.
A lifestyle of crime that deputies say led to 28 people being locked up on Sunday after law enforcement barged into Club Maserati off of Highway.
But the timing felt way too suspicious for some people to ignore. It showed just how quickly old problems can resurface when your name is big and your history is complicated. Right now, the safest move for Moneybagg is keeping his distance from Memphis and not giving anyone a reason to reignite old tension. He's a major figure in rap now, making serious money and rolling with security that most people could only dream of. That kind of protection makes it tough for anyone from his past to actually reach him or cause real harm. But even with all the fame and shine, it's easy to forget that Moneybagg's path wasn't smooth at all. Demario Dwayne White Jr., better known as Moneybagg Yo, grew up in South Memphis trying to help his single mother take care of the household alongside his siblings. Life was rough, and surviving took more grit than most people will ever understand. The pressure of the streets hit early, and by the time he was around 14, the temptation to jump into that lifestyle was strong. Skipping class and shooting dice under the bleachers started feeling way more exciting than sitting through school days, pulling him into a world that would shape his future, for better and for worse. He once said, "When I was in school, I skipped class, shot dice. You know, the typical hood-ish. I just didn't really go to school, stayed out, smoked, did all the ish I wasn't supposed to do." Even though the language was rough, the message was clear. By the time he was 15, Moneybagg had stepped fully off the porch and was knee-deep in street life. That same year, he dropped out of school completely, walking away from the classroom for good. It wasn't just the streets pulling at him either. He also became a father around that age, welcoming his first child, a baby girl. That added heavy pressure on his shoulders, and he admitted in an interview, "It was a lot going on, and I dropped out of school around that time too." Even without a diploma, he had sharp street smarts and learned how to hustle fast. South Memphis became his territory, especially the block on Caravan, where he handled business and dealt with situations that could have taken his life more than once. Moneybagg has even talked about a specific person connected to an attempt on his life. A situation where a woman got hit twice and had to be hospitalized, the same incident mentioned earlier. Moments like that show just how dangerous his world really was. By then, he was locked into the streets heavy, hustling hard just to keep everything afloat. But even in the middle of all that, something new started forming in his mind. Moneybagg always loved hip-hop. He grew up listening to legends like Boozy, Yo Gotti, Juvenile, and Future. So when he found himself around friends who were rapping, freestyling, and dreaming about getting paid for music, the idea of taking rap seriously started to feel real. At first, it was just supposed to be a little hustle, something to make extra cash and escape the struggle. But that small idea grew into something he couldn't ignore. He discovered a real passion for music, and just like that, Demario White Jr. transformed into Moneybagg Yo, stepping into an identity that would change his whole life. But even when you chase your dream, the streets don't just fade away, they follow you. At one of his family's annual picnics on August 8th, that reality hit him hard. A dispute popped off, and someone ended up firing shots in his direction. Moneybagg was there, watching everything unfold. It became painfully clear that his two worlds, family man and street hustler, were crashing into each other. And sooner or later, he was going to have to choose which life he really wanted. To make everything even worse, right after that shooting arrested, which dragged a whole new wave of attention onto him at the worst possible time. It felt like every step forward came with two setbacks waiting right behind it. Moneybagg Yo released his first official single, F You Pay Me, in February 2011, and even though it was early in his career, the track had a strong vibe that sparked real buzz in the streets. But the thing that really separated Moneybagg from everybody else trying to rap wasn't just his sound, it was his insane work ethic. While other dudes blew their money on flashy fits or gambling nights, Moneybagg put every dollar he had back into his music. He was broke at times, barely hanging on, but he kept grinding, paying for studio sessions, marketing, visuals, and anything that would push him closer to the spotlight. He wasn't just hustling in the streets, he was hustling for a career. By 2016, all that self-investment finally paid off. He dropped the mixtape Federal, and that tape changed everything for him. It was raw, emotional, and straight from the heart as he unloaded everything he had been carrying for years. Federal was released under his own label, Bread Gang, a name he picked up after hearing it in one of Yachty's songs, and the timing couldn't have been better. As the tape started gaining traction, his buzz grew heavy in the streets. Bookings started coming in, and Moneybagg felt the shift instantly. He even talked about how his name started spreading outside Memphis, saying, "Then I started getting booked, like Chicago and stuff, Indianapolis. It just started spreading." When he earned his first $2,500 from a show, something clicked for him. He locked in harder than ever, determined to take his music and his whole life to a new level. But the path wasn't smooth. Balancing both legal and illegal lanes was dangerous, and things came crashing down again in March 2016. While celebrating a new CD release at the Maserati Club in Mason, Tennessee, police raided the party. They seized 10 loaded firearms, a bulletproof vest, and stacks of cash. Moneybagg, along with 28 other people, got arrested and charged with substance possession and gun violations. Authorities even claimed several people at the event were tied to groups like the Vice Lords, Gangster Disciples, Bloods, and Crips, making the situation look way worse on paper than it might have actually been. Even though Moneybagg bonded out, the legal trouble kept circling him. And as if that wasn't enough, tragedy hit hard when his close friend Elo lost his life between 2015 and 2016, shaking Moneybagg on a personal level during one of the toughest stretches of his career. Losing Elo crushed Moneybagg in a way most people never saw coming. Elo wasn't just a friend, he was a day one, someone who stood with him long before the fame, the tours, or the millions ever arrived. To honor him, Moneybagg got Elo's name tattooed next to his eye and dropped a mixtape titled ELO. Everybody Lives On, making sure his brother's legacy lived forever through the music. Even though he lost two of the closest people he had in the world, Moneybagg took that pain and turned it into fuel, pushing himself even harder toward his dreams, not just for himself, but for his family and the ones who didn't make it out. The success of the ELO tape ended up being a blessing he didn't expect, opening major doors and landing him a deal with Endless Entertainment. Right after that, he released another project, All Gas No Brakes, and suddenly everything was clicking. His name was buzzing, his work was leveling up, and his momentum caught the attention of Yo Gotti. Once they connected, the rest was history. Signing with Yo Gotti's CMG label shot Moneybagg's career into a whole new level. Even though things cooled down after the issues with his old crew, the tension didn't fully disappear. In April 2021, when Stupid Duke, his former Young Mob homie, got released from prison, fans worried the beef might spark back up again. People were watching closely to see whether things would get dangerous all over again. Luckily, as of now, nothing major has gone down, and fans are hoping it stays that way, with Moneybagg focused on building his music empire instead of getting dragged back into the streets he worked so hard to escape. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure you drop a comment, hit like, subscribe to the channel, share this video, and I'll see you on the next one.